Every man wants to know what makes a woman stop, turn around, and feel that magnetic pull. Not the kind of pull that comes from cheesy pickup lines or flashy clothes, but the deep subconscious attraction that says, that man is different. And here's the truth most guys don't realize. Women are not just watching what you say. They're absorbing your energy, your habits, your behavior when you're not even looking at them. They notice the little things that most men ignore. And it's those little things, those masculine habits, that separate the guy who gets a polite smile from the one she can't stop thinking about. So today, I'm breaking down the top 10 most attractive male habits for women, starting with the first two that are absolute game changers. Let's begin. Habit number 1, the grounded presence. Have you ever met a man who didn't have to speak much, but the moment he entered a room, the air shifted? That's presence. It's not about being loud. It's not about being arrogant. It's about being so rooted in who you are that the world bends around you instead of the other way around. Neil Strauss talks about this in The Game when he contrasts the pickup artist who needs tricks with the man who is the trick. A grounded man doesn't chase attention, he commands it. And it all starts with the body. Stand like you own the space. Shoulders relaxed, feet planted firmly, eye contact that says, I see you. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm here. When a woman senses this kind of presence, her nervous system reacts. She feels safe. And desire doesn't start with charm. It starts with safety, with trust, with stability. Presence is not something you fake. It's built. Through breath, through stillness, through the ability to stay calm under pressure. When she tests you with silence or sarcasm or indifference, the man who doesn't flinch, who doesn't try to chase her approval, is the one who stands out. Want to build presence? Meditate, work on your breathing, get out of your head and into your body. Learn to observe before reacting. Women are naturally tuned into energy, and when yours is calm, clear, and assertive, she will notice. Habit number 2, the intentional silence. Here's what most men don't understand. Attraction isn't built in what you say, but in what you don't say. We live in a world where everyone is talking, non-stop, filling every second of silence with words. And that's exactly why a man who can stay silent, comfortably silent, creates an aura of mystery that drives women crazy. Because silence isn't empty, it's full of meaning, especially when you know how to use it. You want to know one of the biggest mistakes guys make? They rush to fill every pause in the conversation. Why? Because deep down, they're uncomfortable. They think silence is awkward. But a high-value man, he's not afraid of a pause. He lets it breathe. He lets her come to him. Mystery is one of the most powerful triggers of female attraction. When a woman doesn't know exactly what you're thinking, when she has to wonder how you feel, when you don't overshare everything in the first 10 minutes, you become a puzzle. And humans are addicted to puzzles. Robert Greene, in The Art of Seduction, explains that withholding is part of creating allure, that by giving too much too soon, you kill the tension, but by holding back, by letting her lean in just a little more, you build desire. Next time you're on a date, try this. When she asks a question, pause for just 2 seconds before you answer. Don't be robotic, be deliberate. Own the silence, smile slightly, look her in the eye, and speak with intention. That moment, those 2 seconds of stillness, can say more about you than a full paragraph ever could. One of the most underestimated forms of attraction isn't visual. It's energetic. It's how a woman feels when she's in your presence. And more importantly, how you make her feel when you're not even trying to impress her. There's a silent dominance in a man who doesn't seek validation, not because he doesn't care, but because he's already grounded in who he is. That unshakable inner compass is what women feel on a deep, primal level. And that brings us into one of the most attractive masculine behaviors a man can develop: emotional sovereignty. Most guys live on a roller coaster. She texts back, and they're elated. She takes longer to reply, and suddenly they spiral. But a man who's truly dialed in, his emotional state isn't for sale. His validation doesn't come from outside. He is the source of it. You don't need to tell a woman you're confident when you live like this. She feels it in how you respond to challenge, in how you carry yourself when she tests you. And yes, she will test you. That's not a bad thing. It's not manipulation, it's biology. A woman instinctively needs to feel that the man in front of her is emotionally stable, especially if she's going to open up to him. She wants to know that your mood isn't going to crash just because she's having an off day. And when she sees that you're still composed, still smiling, still you, that's when trust begins to build. Now here's where most guys mess this up. They confuse being emotionally independent with being emotionally unavailable. That's not what we're talking about. You're not cold. You're not indifferent. You're just not needy. You have your own rhythm. You're living a mission. And she is invited to be part of that mission, but she doesn't define it. Women find that deeply attractive. And there's another element that goes hand in hand with this. Your standards. This is one of the most powerful, underrated traits of a high-value man. Most men are so focused on being chosen, they forget they have a choice. They mold themselves, filter their personality, hide their edges, all for the hope of being liked. But in doing that, they lose the very thing that makes them stand out: authenticity. You can't be magnetic when you're trying to be everyone's cup of tea. Real attraction doesn't come from trying to please. It comes from being honest about who you are and who you're willing to walk away from. That's right, walk away from. You see, the moment a woman realizes that you have standards, that you're evaluating her, that you're not just lucky to be there but intentionally choosing to engage, she starts to see you differently. You shift from being one of the many to the one she can't quite figure out. That intrigue, that subtle power dynamic, flips everything. But don't get this wrong. Having standards isn't about being judgmental or arrogant. It's about knowing your boundaries. It's about having a strong filter. It's about not letting beauty blind you to behavior. If she's stunning but disrespectful, are you still interested? If she's fun but inconsistent, are you still investing? A man with standards knows how to say no, with grace, with confidence, without anger. He's not reactive, he's selective. This alone is so rare in a world where most men lower their guard the moment they see a pretty face. When you're the one who keeps your frame, who stays centered, who doesn't chase, you become unpredictable. And in seduction, unpredictability is everything. Women don't fantasize about the guy they fully understand. They fantasize about the one who stays just outside the lines, the one who makes them work a little harder for his attention, the one who has options, and yet still chooses her. That's the key. So the next time you're around a beautiful woman, flip the script. Instead of thinking, how can I impress her? Ask yourself, do her values, her energy, her behavior align with mine? And then act accordingly. She'll feel it. She'll sense it. And if she's a woman of value, she'll respect the hell out of it. There's a silent kind of strength that doesn't need to be spoken, explained, or advertised. It's just there. And women sense it immediately. It's not about dominance. It's not about being aggressive. It's about being anchored. Knowing exactly who you are and what you bring to the table, even when nobody's watching. And this next behavior? It's something that leaves a lasting impression, not just because of how it makes you look, but how it makes her feel. It's your ability to remain composed under pressure. We're not talking about being emotionless. Quite the opposite. We're talking about emotional mastery, the art of responding without reacting. The man who keeps his cool when others lose theirs. The man who doesn't raise his voice to prove a point. The man who knows that real strength is quiet. Imagine this. She throws a jab. Not out of malice, but to see where you stand. Maybe she teases you. Maybe she pulls away just a little to test your confidence. Most men would panic. They'd chase, apologize, over-explain. But the man who simply breathes, smiles, and doesn't flinch, that man becomes unforgettable. Because he doesn't just say he's confident, he shows it when it matters most. That moment, that pause, that silence between stimulus and response is where all your power lies. And when a woman witnesses that, she can't help but feel safe, attracted, curious. Because suddenly, she's not in control of the frame. You are. And here's something most guys don't get. Women don't fall in love with words. They fall in love with how you make them feel in your presence. When your energy is stable, calm, and decisive, even when things get messy, they lean into it. Because the feminine naturally seeks out the masculine that can hold the storm. And this leads directly into another trait that amplifies your value almost instantly: having a purposeful life. Purpose isn't a cliche. It's the spine of your masculinity. Every time you prioritize your mission, your goals, your long-term vision, you're sending out a signal that you're not just floating through life. You're moving with intention. And that kind of energy is magnetic. Women don't fantasize about the man who's always available. They fantasize about the man who's busy building something, who makes time for them by choice, not by default. A man who's in motion. A man who has ambition, direction, and fire in his eyes. But here's the kicker. You don't need to be rich or famous to embody this. You just need to be driven. You need to wake up with a reason to move forward. Whether it's your fitness, your business, your art, or your discipline, it doesn't matter. What matters is that your life isn't centered around women. It's centered around becoming the man you were meant to be. That shift alone changes the way every woman sees you. Because now, instead of trying to be impressive, you become inspiring. And that's a totally different frequency, and you'll notice something curious. The more you lean into your mission, the more women lean into you. Not because you're chasing them, but because they want to be part of that fire. They want to feel it. They want to be close to something that feels real, and they can tell when a man is living for something greater than just getting laid or finding validation. They sense it instantly. Your conversations are different. Your presence is heavier. Your boundaries are stronger, and your time becomes sacred. That's when the tables turn. She starts making sure she deserves a place in your world. When you move through life with direction, something strange starts to happen. People adjust to your rhythm. Not because you force them to, but because your focus becomes contagious. That sense of drive, of momentum, it creates gravity. And gravity attracts. A woman feels this on a cellular level. She doesn't just hear that you're ambitious, she sees it in how you organize your day, in how you say no to distractions, in how you speak about your goals without needing to be loud or flashy. You become the man who's going somewhere, and instinctively she wants to come along for the ride. Now here's where we go even deeper. Because once you've built that foundation of presence, composure, and purpose, the next layer is your ability to lead. Leadership, in the realm of attraction, doesn't mean controlling her or barking orders. That's insecurity wearing a mask. True leadership is subtle, grounded, and effortless. It's the way you make decisions, the way you take initiative, the way you guide a situation instead of waiting for things to happen. It can be as simple as choosing the restaurant without asking her what she wants 3 times. It's knowing what you want, expressing it clearly, and moving with certainty. That kind of clarity is rare. Most men hesitate. They overthink. They try to read her mood before they act. But a man who leads with authenticity and confidence creates a dynamic where she can relax into her feminine. She doesn't have to make all the plans. She doesn't have to carry the weight. And in a world where many women are constantly in control mode, that feeling is intoxicating. But this isn't about dominance. It's about direction. Direction is what gives your presence weight. When you speak with intention, when you walk with purpose, when you lead a moment, even in silence, it shifts the entire interaction. And this applies to how you carry yourself physically too. Let's talk about body language, specifically slow, deliberate movement. The most attractive men don't rush. They're not in a hurry to prove themselves. Their gestures are relaxed. Their eye contact is steady. They occupy space like they belong in it. And that's not just a confidence signal, it's a primal one. You see, from an evolutionary standpoint, speed equals fear. Prey animals move quickly. They flinch. They react. Predators? They move slow, controlled, calculated. Watch a lion walk. There's no wasted motion, no jittery energy, just calm, grounded power. Women pick up on that instinctively. A man who moves with calm confidence triggers something deep, something animal. She may not know why she feels drawn in, but her body responds before her mind even catches up. The next time you're in a social setting, slow everything down by 15%. The way you turn your head, the way you take a sip of your drink, the way you enter a room. Let your movements be intentional. Let your stillness speak for you. Because when you don't need to chase, rush, or fidget, you give off a different signal. You're not there to impress. You're there because you belong. And nothing is more attractive than a man who belongs wherever he goes, not because of status or looks or money, but because he walks like he knows who the fuck he is. The deeper you go into this, the more you realize that real attraction isn't about tactics. It's about alignment. Alignment between who you say you are and how you show up. Women are hypersensitive to inconsistencies. If your words don't match your energy, they won't trust you. And without trust, there's no desire. None. That's why the next element is so subtle, yet so powerful. Congruence. It means that your actions, your voice, your posture, your values, they all point in the same direction. There's no inner conflict bleeding into your interactions. You're not pretending to be confident while your eyes betray your doubt. You're not acting generous just to be liked. You're not saying you're a man of standards while putting up with low-effort behavior from people around you. When you are congruent, you become undeniable. Women don't always know how to explain it. They just say things like, "There's something about him." What they're really feeling is a man who's internally aligned. He doesn't say he's strong. He shows it through consistency. He doesn't say he respects himself. He shows it through his choices. This kind of integrity doesn't need validation. It radiates from the inside out. And this ties directly into a behavior that hits a woman on a completely different frequency: emotional precision. Most men either suppress their emotions or drown in them. One extreme is cold and numb. The other is chaotic and overwhelming. Neither is attractive. What is attractive is the man who knows how to feel deeply without losing control. You're not a robot. And you don't pretend to be. You're capable of intensity, but you don't let it rule you. You're open enough to connect, but not so open that you collapse into oversharing or neediness. That balance is rare. It's in how you talk about your past, not to get sympathy, but to reveal your resilience. It's in how you handle conflict, not to dominate, but to clarify. It's in how you hold space for her emotions without being swept away by them. This is something Robert Glover touches on in No More Mr. Nice Guy, when he explains that women don't want a man who hides. They want a man who can hold himself, hold her, hold tension, without falling apart. And that skill comes from inner work. It comes from facing your shadow, understanding your emotional patterns, and building strength from within. It's not glamorous, it's not flashy, but it's the kind of work that makes you safe for a woman to open up to. Because here's the truth: every woman carries wounds. Emotional ones, vulnerabilities, fears. If you can't hold your own, how can you ever hold hers? When she realizes that you can sit in uncomfortable conversations without withdrawing or attacking, that you can witness her pain without judging it or fixing it, that you can feel anger or sadness or disappointment without losing your center, she feels something that's becoming rare in this world. She feels safe, desired, seen. And when a woman feels both safe and turned on, you don't just create attraction, you create obsession. Attraction at its core isn't about chasing. It's about creating a field of energy that pulls people in. And the man who masters this doesn't rely on words. He doesn't beg for attention. He simply is, and in being that, he becomes a force. And this final layer of seductive power has nothing to do with games. It's about a trait that most men never even think of developing. But women crave it deeply: your ability to inspire. This doesn't mean giving motivational speeches. It's not about having the perfect life or $1 million business. It's about how your way of being makes her want to grow, expand, evolve. A woman is drawn to a man who elevates her, not by pressure, but by presence. When she sees you chasing growth, not perfection, but real progress, she starts to imagine herself differently around you. She wants to rise with you, because deep down, the feminine is always seeking to blossom, to feel more, to live more fully. And the masculine energy that encourages her to do that, not by forcing her, but by modeling it, is irresistible. You read, you train, you build, you make mistakes and you own them. You upgrade your circle, you challenge your habits, you stretch into discomfort without making it her responsibility. That makes her feel like she's next to a man who's going somewhere, and not just geographically, but internally. It's not about being better than her. It's about being better than you were yesterday. That fire, that hunger, that quiet obsession with growth. It's sexy in a way most men can't understand. Because here's what happens. The more deeply you live, the more deeply she feels. And women want to feel. But all of this, your presence, your purpose, your leadership, your emotional precision, means nothing if you lack self-respect. And this is the final habit that ties everything together. Self-respect isn't something you say you have. It's something you practice every single day. In how you speak to yourself. In the standards you uphold even when nobody's watching. In the discipline to do what needs to be done, even when it's not convenient. You don't chase people who treat you poorly. You don't explain your worth to those who can't see it. You don't stay in environments that drain your energy. You don't beg for love. You become the kind of man who attracts it without asking. That quiet refusal to lower your standards for approval, that is what makes you powerful. And here's what most men never realize. A woman doesn't love you for what you give her. She loves you for how she feels about herself when she's around you. If being near you makes her feel safe, challenged, seen, turned on, and emotionally free, she will never want to leave. Not because you trapped her, but because you created a space so rare she doesn't want to find it anywhere else. That's the mark of a high-value man. You don't perform, you don't chase, you become. And if you've made it this far, it's not by accident. Because deep down you already know, this is the man you're meant to become. Not for her, not for validation, not for likes or approval, but for you. For the version of you that wakes up clear, calm, powerful, and completely aligned with the life you want to lead. And if something inside you stirred while listening to this, if some part of you knows that these habits aren't just cool tricks, but foundations for a magnetic masculine life, then this is your moment. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these habits you already live, and which one you're ready to start cultivating today. Your words might be exactly what another man out there needs to read to shift his path. And if you want more content like this, raw, real, grounded in what actually works in the world of seduction, psychology, and male transformation, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. We're building something bigger here, a tribe of men who don't settle for surface level, who don't play games, who walk with power, presence, and purpose. So if you're with me, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Let's raise the standard, one man at a time, because when you rise, everything around you rises too. I'll see you in the next one. Stay sharp, stay grounded, stay dangerous.